I'm Allison, and this is my dog, and we live in a tiny house in an even tinier trailer, traveling the country, taking hikes, and this week, we're conquering a Western Washington hiking legend, Mailbox Peak. This 4,000-foot climb has enchanted the backpack-bedecked masochists of the Pacific Northwest for years, and served as a testing ground for droves aspiring to the larger peaks you can spot from its summit. Today, though, we're just donning a day pack and taking a more casual stroll down memory lane. Oh, it's so early. It's 4 in the morning. Going to the trailhead at 4 in the morning. Alright, well, that took us about 2 hours, and the trailhead parking lot is full at 6 o'clock in the morning. That's just wild to me. I think we're gonna take our breakfast to go after we put on our boots and probably get going, I guess. Someone just got stuck in the snow trying to park behind me. It's not even daylight yet, and this trailhead is getting wild. Let's get out of here. Hello. Oh, it's very cold. It's below freezing. Well, there's not a lot to see at the beginning of this trail anyway. The sun should come up right about the time things start getting more interesting. Speaking of interesting, we're taking what is referred to as the new Mailbox Peak Trail. The new Mailbox Peak Trail is a 9.5-mile round trip that gains 4,000 feet. You'll gain an average of about 850 feet of elevation per mile, with a real doozy of a last mile you'll just have to see for yourself in a bit. It's gonna be a beautiful day. And yes, there is an old trail. We'll cross paths with it again in a few miles. No, I'm not going to show it to you. I've done the mythical old trail exactly once before, and I do not need to do it again, thanks. The old trail gains the same elevation we're climbing today, but it does so in just 2.5 miles, with an elevation gain of almost 1,700 feet per mile. For the not mathematically inclined, this baby is twice as steep, and I really, really cannot recommend that route to almost anyone. The Department of Natural Resources built the new trail because the old trail was dangerous and eroding due to the hordes of people showing up to claim bragging rights each weekend. The old trail is a curse on even healthy ankles and knees. If you do opt for a side of casual torture with your summit, you'll want to carry trekking poles for safety. No, I've been there, done that, and in my opinion, it's not worth the savings in mileage. The long route is perfectly enjoyable, if a bit repetitive for the first 4 miles. It's the switchback that never ends. It just goes on and on, my friend. One day I started hiking it, not knowing what it was. And I'll be hiking it forever just because this is the switchback that never ends. It just goes on and on. This trail is one that has a special place in my heart, nestled in next to where I keep most of my nostalgia. I think I must have done this trail about a dozen times or more since I moved to Seattle over a decade ago. I've gone by myself, with friends, and even led multiple hiking groups to the summit. Well, I haven't been leading groups recently because of, well, you've been watching the news. I sure do miss hiking with you all. I'll start leading groups again one day, and when I do, I'd consider bringing them back here again. Mailbox Peak has been the setting of many a favorite group hiking memories. The last group I took up here, we started with 24 people split into 2 groups, and one group of 7 actually reached the summit, with the remaining 17 folks enjoying lunch on the false summit and taunting us as we glissaded, either intentionally or accidentally, back down the mountain. And I can still to this day hear my ex-boyfriend swearing at me from the bottom of that false summit as I waved happily from halfway up the final ascent, although that was an awkward car ride home. Anyway, I love watching others react to the challenge this little mountain has to offer. It's really close to Seattle compared to other hikes that offer the same gain in views and enjoyment, and its old route is popular for those conditioning for more serious climbing, so it's understandable why it's so incredibly busy all the time. I mean, something has kept me coming back every other year or so too. Seriously, there's no time of year you can visit this trail where it won't be among the busiest you can find in the North Cascades. So, I'd recommend you start as early as you can possibly manage in the winter, and maybe even later in the day in the summer. I'd also suggest you carpool if you can, and you also might want to check out the shuttle that runs in the summer if you're not about that parking lot war zone. Now about that false summit. In your final push to the summit, the last half mile is anything but boring. But it's also a little bit mean. When you break out of those trees into the clearing, you'll see a big old mound of rocks with some trees at the top, and you can't see much beyond that. That's not your summit. That's just a warm-up. See? We aren't done yet. But this is the place one might stop to rest, or swear at the person who brought them on this journey. You'll be gaining about 950 feet in half a mile before you reach that great mailbox in the sky. Off to the south on a clear day, you should be able to see Mount Rainier sticking prominently above the rest of the scenery. Sometimes, on a really clear day, you can see the Olympic mountain range on the peninsula to the west. Now, if you want to try Mailbox Peak yourself, my favorite time of year to do it is in the winter, on any clear and sunny day, just like this. The crisp winter air is a nice contrast to the absolute jungle sweating it out inside of my jacket, and a covering of fresh powder over the summit makes for a really fun, less rocky and less risky descent, as long as you have some traction devices on your feet.